We are just about a half an hour away from race number 1. Mike Joyce alongside Caton Bradar and jockey Joe Talamo. Caton, the weekend is here, and it all gets going in about 28 minutes.
I am so excited. I'm not sure I'm more excited about the racing getting started finally for this weekend or the fact that it's not raining at the moment. I'm so relieved that at least we get some sunshine this weekend, although it's a little dicey as we get a little later in the day.
Yeah, I think today is going to be perfect. Mike, you said that I think right after the races today, it's going to start pouring, and unfortunately, I think tomorrow it's going to rain, but unbelievable day today.
And unfortunate news for the Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli camp. Earlier today, it was announced that Grande has been declared from the race. He's battling a foot issue, and he will not be able to compete in the Kentucky Derby.
This is the time where you do start to see some little nagging things pop up every now and then. And fortunately, there's so many things in place to make sure that the horses are examined every step of the way. Those changes get picked on instantly. Foot bruises are not that uncommon, especially when horses have been training hard and maybe perhaps on a different surface than what they're accustomed to on a regular basis. Grande shipped in from Lexington. He seemed good to me in his most recent workout. He looked great, but at some point along the line, the foot started to bother him a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a shame too, because again, I mean, tomorrow's the Derby. You never want to hear that the day before, but again, he's going to be okay, so that's the most important thing.
You've got to admit, the racing gods have been tough on Mike Rapoli as far as the Derby's concerned and scratches.
This is two out of the last 3 years that his Derby charge has been scratched the day before with a bad foot. I mean, you were there when it was Forte.
And he said before that it was Uncle Mo that scratched right before the Derby. So one of these days he's due for some change of luck.
Let's take a look at the current Derby odds with the two defections. Of course, we already knew that Baeza had gotten into the body of the field with the scratch of Rodriguez, and Grande now out as well. Both the 1-2 finishers from the Wood Memorial out of the Kentucky Derby.
It's strange how it happens, and the one thing to keep in mind is that with each scratch, the complexion of the race may change just a little bit, both from a strategy standpoint and from a pace standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely, especially the shorter that field gets. I mean, obviously a 20-horse field is tough anyway for those horses because none of them have raced against 19 other horses before, but that will change the complexion for sure.
We will keep our ear to the ground, make sure we get you all the news as fast as possible. The news today is that, well, the weather's been great. So that 80%, 70% chance of rain is gonna hit right as we wrap up the last race today. That's what the forecast is for. And then tomorrow, 95% chance of rain, and it's gonna be a cool 66 degrees.
I don't mind 66. That's not bad at all. It's just how much rain we get, Joe. And it would be a shame, but it wouldn't be unprecedented if we had something other than a fast track for the Kentucky Derby.
Well, I think it's going to change the complexion of handicapping, too, because, I mean, so many of the horses in the field this year have not even raced on a sloppy or muddy track before. So I think that's going to be very interesting, too.
We're going to be here all day. Of course, bulk of the stakes races you can see on our friends at USA Network and the NBC family of networks. But right now, we're going to go back to the FanDuel TV studios. Dubsy standing by. Happy Oaks Day, Dubsy.
Happy Oaks Day, Tim. You are looking fantastic. I'm going to do my best to get you bettors up to speed from back here at HQ. And let's take a look at some of the big names that you can be expected to see on today's undercard. And it truly is some of the best of the best in the sport of racing. We'll see the dynamic Pletcher duo locked, fierceness, squaring off in the Alashiba Stakes. It was locked in the Santa Anita Handicap. It was in the Grade 1 Travis that we finally saw that fury of fierceness, and we'll get to see it a little later this afternoon. Certainly looks to be a two-horse race on paper. The champion, horse of the year, the stage in which she set that tremendous feat in taking out last year's Kentucky Oaks, the one and only Torpedo Anna lining up in the Grade 1 La Troyenne, and the fourth name to watch here this afternoon, She Feels Pretty. 7 different tracks, versatility in bunches, back-to-back, never outside of the money, and could be one of the best bets of the afternoon coming up in the Grade 3 Modesty Stakes. Just a small bunch of the massive names out there at Churchill Downs competing here this afternoon. And speaking of big, let's keep it in theme here. Let's take a look at some of the wagering trends that will be playing along here from Churchill for the spring meet. Take a look at this. Big fields in bunches. The favourites have been winning at a 46% win rate. Now, that has been high. I don't think we see that kind of mark going through Friday and Saturday afternoon. The dollar exact to bring it back 33 and change. Let's take a look at some of the horizontal opportunities. The 50-cent pick 3 at $66, the pick 4 at $307, and this is where it gets adventurous. This is where we need to be playing over the next couple of days. The pick 5s and pick 6s. Look at that, the 50-cent pick 5 north of $1,500. So many great ways to jump in and play via the FanDuel Racing app. It's Kentucky Oaks Day, as good as it gets. And team, what a field we have lining up for this one.
Well, it's a field that might be lining up behind Good Cheer when they cross the finish line, because she has been perfect in her 6 career starts thus far, Caden.
The only thing that concerns me is she's going to be carrying a lot of weight, because I know at least Joe and I are on her, and I think some of the others on the team are as well. But yeah, I mean, I just don't feel she's done anything wrong. I know that maybe it looks too obvious to some people, and I also understand the criticism that she hasn't, quote unquote, progressed from 2 to 3. But she was really good at 2, and she remains really good at 3. She overcomes some adversity. She's beaten everybody that's been thrown at her up till now. And this race in the Oaks in particular, I thought she showed what she was made of, Joe.
No, I totally agree, Kate. And I mean, look, how do you knock a horse that's 6 for 6? And every time she wins, I mean, she wins by open links going away. And not only that, she's been going a mile and a 16th in her 2 prep races at the fairgrounds. I think the mile and an 8 distance is going to be even better for her.
I'll say this, maybe she hasn't progressed from age 2 on a speed figures, but they haven't caught up to her either.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if she hasn't progressed.
She's still
among
the top horses.
So she's certainly going to be a short price. Lakara, one of the main contenders to, I don't want to say dethrone her because she hasn't been crowned anything yet, but to get the best of this short price favorite as we take a look at Lakara a few days ago, rested in the stall. Filly by Street Sense is coming off a game victory in the Ashland last time out.
So she's been training very forwardly up to the Kentucky Oaks ever since. In fact, hasn't really missed a step since the Ashland Stakes. It's a filly that I think is progressing at the right time. She has that long, lopey stride. You just wonder if she gets challenged by something, and it sure looks like Simply Joking down to the inside could try to run with her early. Mark has committed to, at least he stated that his strategy is going to be go to the front, and anybody who wants to run with her can try. I think it sets up for a pretty fast pace that might be a little detrimental to anybody who's up there.
And that's really why I love Good Cheer as well. I just think from a pace standpoint, it's definitely going to be pretty hot. Not only Lakara and Simply Joking, but Tenma coming out of those races out there in Southern California. She's pretty fast as well. Not that she's quicker than Lakara or Simply Joking, but I definitely think she's going to be heard from early on.
I think Quiet Side's pretty fast as well, and I don't necessarily know that she needs the lead. She's going to have to get goosed out of the gate a little bit, coming from post 14 by Jose Ortiz, but she's done nothing wrong. Granted, her victories haven't been as sexy or flashy as Good Cheer, but you want to talk about a horse coming into her own right now. She wins the Honeybee, and then on Arkansas Derby Day, she does this in the Fantasy Stakes.
And she's a filly too, Mike, that if I wouldn't pick Good Cheer, I think she would be my second choice, Quiet Side, because I feel like her last 2 prep races, obviously on paper, have been her best, but I wasn't sold that she was a 2-turn filly before those 2 wins. When I watched all of her replays prior to the Fantasy and Honeybee, I kind of thought that 1 turn might have been in her wheelhouse, but she surely proved me wrong in the Honeybee and Fantasy, and both of those races won in very impressive fashion. But again, Caton from the 14 hole, Jose Ortiz is going to have to be aggressive to get out of there and not be too wide around the first turn.
But you know what? I mean, it's a 14-horse field versus a 20-horse field in the Derby, or 19 now. But I don't know that it's a disadvantage for her, because I think that at least she'll be outside of any of those horses that are going after Lakara or even Simply Joking. When she faced Simply Joking last time, I thought she had the advantage being on the outside. I don't know that had they switched positions, the outcome would have been reversed, but I still think that gave her a little extra, and maybe from that position as well, with Jose riding as well as anybody, could be right there.
How about Ballerina d'Oro for Chad Brown as she's coming into her own, making her 3rd start of the year in the Oaks. In the Gazelle last time out, she holds on by a nose to beat early on.
I kind of like this filly, honestly. I couldn't pick her on top, but she's definitely a horse that you want to use maybe in the mix someplace, because she's very consistent. Now, she hung on her lead a long time in the Gazelle, and it definitely cost her. But in her workouts in the morning, Joe, she has been right on target. She's done the things the right way.
And that's why she's kind of tricked me, because when you watch this race, from my standpoint, I just really didn't like the way she was wanting to lug in and not switch leads, because, I mean, that takes away so much momentum as a rider, because you're just trying to get her to run straight and try and get up. So hopefully she does not do that today in the Oaks, because it will definitely take away a lot of momentum.
Don't you find that horses like her, though, that maybe if they really do want to run a little bit farther, benefit because they're just not forced to be in position and forced to do things, whereas she can just gradually kind of, the fact that she switched her leads and kind of straightened up late in the race told me that maybe longer distance is going to be her friend.
And that's a great point. And one thing about it, too, I think the speed that should transpire in the Oaks, I think is going to help her a lot more as well, because they really didn't go that quick last time in the Gazelle.
Let's go back to the Santa Anita Oaks, because Tenma rattled off her 3rd consecutive victory. She's 5 for 6, which is a great mark, except for you're facing off a horse who's 6 for 6. She's done nothing wrong in her career. Some people are trying to poke holes in the Santa Anita Oaks. Not a very fast running of this race, and she didn't look at like her usual dominant self as she had in the Starlet or the Las Virgenes.
But see, I'm wondering if that really matters. I mean, she won, so she did what she needed to do. She beat those behind her. But for me, I'm thinking maybe an easier race sets her up to be able to run a bigger race today. I also think that I accept that we don't know that she's beaten anything and that it wasn't a strong rendition of the Oaks. But Baffert wouldn't bring her if she didn't fit with this group and if he didn't have confidence in her. She's got tactical speed. She's got a great record. I think she draws beautifully in this race. And most importantly, her pedigree suggests that she's also one who's going to benefit from the distance.
And you can catch this race live on USA Network today. We're going to bring you all the coverage that we can. And of course, our friends at USA Network are going to take the coverage of some of the stakes racing action today. Tomorrow it'll be the same configuration with us here, USA, NBC. Let's get to the picks here in the Oaks. We want to know right now. Can't change between now and post time. Who do you got?
Good cheer on top. I'm using Tenma, and I'm also going to use Chad's filly, Ballerina Doro. But I'm going to watch the tote board, too, as to throw in a few horses that look live. But those are the top 3.
How about you, Joe?
I'm going with Good Cheer just because, I mean, she hasn't done a thing wrong. I was at every prep race down in New Orleans, as you were, and got to see her live. I mean, she's just so impressive visually. I'm going to use her on top. And, again, Quiet Side, I think, is very live as well.
Let's not forget, it is a gambling game. I love everything about Good Cheer except for the price. I'm going to go Quiet Side. Dubsy, though, inquiring minds want to know, who do you got?
Mike, we're seeing it the same, and I'm chasing a price, and no, I'm not blowing smoke. You like what I did there? Head out and check out Joycey over on the YouTube channels there. But look, Good Cheer makes a lot of sense. The perfect race resume. On paper, the horse to beat, but so much still has to go in favour. So I think if we're looking for a bit of upside and potential that maybe we haven't seen just yet, look in the form of the number 2 here, Simply Joking. Just 3 starts early into the career and has shown plenty of promise. I think at the distance with Florent Giroux in the irons and starting from that 2-hole, we could be looking for a nice little setup and turn it around as we hit that lane in front of 150,000 mad race goers saying, come and catch me. Simply Joking, 10-1 on the morning line. There's the first price of the afternoon. If you're looking to jump into plays, what are we waiting for? What a fantastic afternoon at the FanDuel Racing app. You can tail this one, craft up your own. All customers, no sweat bet up to $10 back in racing bonus. The Kentucky Oaks, just a matter of hours away. The opener, just 14 minutes off.